also privileged to have on the show this morning an inspirational speaker, a leadership coach, author, Mr. Stanley David Odaro. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's listen to Stanley David Odaro. Let him talk to us this morning on how we can build a modern Nigeria, starting with our leadership. Like everybody has said, the problem we've had in this country is the leadership problem. The colonial masters handed over to people they handpicked, and since then we have an elite that are only concerned about themselves. Can we change these narratives? Over to you, Mr. Odaro.
Thank you, sir. The truth is that leadership is the ability to influence and change people by way of relationship and be able to understand how they think, their wants, and as well as be able to know what actually needs to be done to move them forward. But the challenge about that we have in Nigeria today, or in our society, is as a result of the inability for our leaders to actually know what it takes to influence people. And I believe that leadership is by example, that what you say is what you do. But the issues we have is most of our leaders, they've all lost their credibility. And as a result, people watch them, or people that work with them or follow them are a bit frustrated or thinking, oh wow, this is how it works. If this is how it works, okay, this is how I should function. And more so, when we talk about leadership in quote, a lot of people will think, okay, maybe it's the president, the minister, or even some of our religious leaders, or even as well as our corporate leaders. Every one of us, we're all leaders in our own right. As a husband, you're a leader. If you can't get your family right, what you do, how you are able to inspire your wife, your children, and everyone around you, you also fail in public life. So if you are able to influence people and you're credible enough as an individual, you naturally see people follow, and you naturally see yourself generating same persons or people like you. And if we do that, we'll begin to have a better country and a better state and a better people. So I believe for any striving nation or people to do well or survive, leadership cannot be overemphasized. It's important.
It's important.
Yeah.
Leadership. 2019 is around the corner, so talk guidedly so that
yes,
not say we are supporting one political party or the other.
Like,
but we desire a modern Nigeria.
Yeah, but like my colleague was just saying, we said some time ago, like leaders like people. Like leaders like people. The leaders are picked out of the people. When you have a people degenerated, poor, deprived, and educationally backward, we have a lot of issues. We don't have a political culture yet. We still, our political culture is now dancing between hirelings, people who hijack the system, the transition of military rulers who hijack the system economically and now accredited themselves to be the new political class. So our political class today is a hybrid, if we're talking about political leadership production. The bane of our problems all through the years since independence has been our, colonial mingling. The pre-colonial masters who came, they set up a system and they handed over power by way of, franchising some of this. Today we have a leadership in Nigeria.
Okay, now let's, before we begin to look at the leadership in Nigeria, there's something that Mr. Odaro said about we understanding the concept of leadership that is all about influence. But in Nigeria, in Africa, is about allocating resources.
Yeah,
we just come into the office and we allocate influence to influence the people to move their nation forward.
Yeah, the people.
I think that's what you're trying to say, Mr. Odaro. You want to elucidate on that? We'll come back to it particularly.
There are a lot of leaders that we have in our country today that believes, of course, like you said, the quote, the belief or the thought is, what can I get by being a leader? And like I always say, that is not leadership. That's a positional freak individual. That, okay, because I have been able to attain this position, now, okay, I think I'm the leader of this group, so I can do anything I want, I can get anything I want. I call them a boss who direct people whenever. But if you want to be a leader, you must have that ability to lead and act by example. Whatever you do in words, in deeds, you must be able to lead by example. And it's so sad that not just in the political arena, but if you also look at what happens in our individual lives, you find out that even we that complain or talk about others,
we're even worse off.
Yeah. So what I am trying to transmit this morning,
look at the bus driver,
right,
the taxi
the way
driver,
they act.
look at the way they act. So of course, I said, if you have tourists, we are trying to build tourism with this kind of system, it ain't going to work.
That's the truth. That's the truth. So if you see how things work in our society, in our country, it's sad. And what I believe that we have so much great youth, youth with high level of potentials in them. But what they need is someone that can open them up. Let them know deep down that there's something in there that they can make use of and become great, outside or without failing or without committing those things that, in quote, are crimes. But I believe those things are in there and we need to open them up. And the only way we can do that is to actually influence them, let them know that credibility is everything about leadership, integrity is everything about leadership. But the problem is, a lot of our leaders believe and depend on their image than their character. And what you actually are is not your image, but is your character. It's your integrity. It's when you're able to act what you say and do what you think and believe. That's what makes you a leader. And naturally, people will just follow and obey.
They will just follow you. In fact, they will die for you, and what you stand for will outlive you for very, very years. People are still talking about Mahatma Gandhi. People are talking about Martin Luther King. You know, these people didn't have any money to spread around. Now, in the Nigerian system, the labor system, the civil society system, the leadership, you just wonder. Anyway, let's not go too far. Let's see what the young people can do for us. Stanley.
Yeah, for me, like my brother here just said, leadership is your ability to influence. And also, it is how you behave. And most importantly, leadership is service. So for me as an individual, having studied the contemporary Nigeria politics, it is very obvious that we have a leadership problem. But first and foremost, we must also consider the fact that when we talked about resources just now, you understand? They say the first law of survival, the first law of humanity is survival. And it is very key that you can see a man is willing to do anything to survive. Having said that, the way our political elite has structured Nigeria is that they want poverty to be hereditary. That when you are poor, your children will be poor, your grandchildren will be poor. And that's why I have always emphasized and told youth everywhere we go that we just have two tribes in Nigeria: the poor masses and the elite.
I will come back to you, Bale. His name is Bale Joseph, and he's the national coordinator for Niger Delta Youth. So let me come back to you, Dairo. We see politics. I think it was one former governor that said it is absolutely impossible for somebody who is not a billionaire, as it were, to become the president of this country. And you wonder, where do these people get the money from? And so if you trace it again critically, perhaps allegedly, you know, our money. And again, when you get there, you look at how we spend money, you know, our leaders, the way they have access to our money. It's not like that in other parts of the world. Imagine Donald Trump having access to the kind of money that our leadership have, in this country. I don't know, how do we solve that problem? Where politics now is the easiest way
To make money.
we make that way. It's not like that. That's right.
Very true. When the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse becomes so inevitable. And if you look at the state of Nigeria today, it's believed that if you want to be wealthy or rich overnight, is to be in politics and begin to play all kind of game you want to play to succeed. But the truth is, like my brother said, to create wealth or to be rich, it's not. You don't need to be a politician. I've seen a lot of youths that are doing greatly, that are doing very well. Mine is a very good story. I came from a very poor background. That's not so great. That of course an average person will be able to write us off. But I'm not going to wait for Nigeria. I'm not going to wait for my leader. I can't become a leader for myself. And I kept struggling, kept putting a lot of things together. And today, though we're not where we used to be, but we're somewhere. But the point I am trying to make is you are the owner of your future. You decide what happens to you. You need to take charge of your future. However, the political terrain is also very important for our growth. But then, in trying to solve the problem of our leaders believing that the wealth of the nation is theirs alone for them to consume, it's still going to boil down to leadership. We are going to ask and be praying that one day that God should be able to provide someone that actually believes in what leadership is actually about. And not until we have this kind of person, it's going to be very difficult for us to move forward as a nation. Look at America you just mentioned, or somewhere like France, or some other countries in Western world that we see. You see the way their president act. They are held accountable to whatever they do, whatever they say. But Africa or Nigeria is a different ball game. So I believe in solving it. Let the youth take their own destiny in their hands and begin to work for themselves and ensure they are able to do that which is proper and acceptable to their lives and move forward. But waiting for one man up there to get it solved is never going to happen till we take action ourselves. And the only way we can do that is to begin to believe that if we take a step, we can become president. You don't need a quote to be a business or a very great wealthy person to actually be a president in other countries. But it took them time to get to where they are. But we can also get there. But the point is we mustn't lose focus and we must keep moving forward.
Thank you very much. Pastor Kazi, what advice do you think you can offer to the ordinary Nigerians? I keep hammering on the fact that development starts with us. We can't force a change in our narratives of our story, as a country, if we make the individual changes. I'm doing that. I try to be the best I can without trying to be commercial, because everybody wants to make money in the wrong way.
Yes.
Be the best that you can, as cautious, as modern, civil as you can be.
Let's look at it. It's about leadership is about people, and the leaders we have today are from the people, the society. Somebody said there can be no other society like Nigeria. The typical Nigerian is different from any other species in the world. We are born in hardship, brought up in hardship with these challenges and all. The system is too corrosive. Are you hearing me? The system is.
I live in Lagos. Oh my God.
So now the broken walls are there. The walls are broken. Structurally, our system is going down. They didn't build school. They destroyed
health workers are going on strike.
They destroyed our schools. They destroyed our health institutions. So what you have today are a lot of broken walls. We need leaders who will build these broken walls like Nehemiah. And that's what I think that part of the prayers, what we're trying to do.
In the absence of that egalitarian concept, what about us?
What we said is that now, you talked about people like, you get to New Benin Police, key police. these people are not comfortable. Somebody can be still driving a Jeep. We have a false sense of accomplishment in this country. Somebody can still be driving a Jeep and be poor and be sweating the Jeep. Because you won't drive your Jeep in a system that is not working. The road to your house where you came from, how good is it? The structure is not working. These people have deprived us of the essential basic things of life. The bishop was talking about 3 basic things that man needs, and physically.
So what should be the response of the people? You are a public relations.
Yeah, but the response of the people. Now look at it now.
Have
the people, you see,
an idea how the people should respond.
The people are not responding well. Like the bulk of voters, we've been in a political.
We see a lot of illiteracy.
Yeah, see, let me tell you, sir.
The response is dramatic.
The youth. Yeah. Thank God we have a youth representative here.
Yeah.
The youth gradually have been dehydrated, have been frustrated.
To the extent that they want to be thugs.
They just want to be thugs. They want to be hirelings.
Yeah.
They are not properly educated because the time they were coming up, they were not proper institutions. There was already a deviation of what is good, the ethic, the norms. This same political class that we have today, that is part of this, they are surrogates. Surrogates because this political class of today, recycling old governors, old senators, and old grandpas that are still wanting to come to power, they are surrogates. They will soon be transcended.
But where are the young people?
That's what we're saying. They have deprived them. So the average young man want to be no, these people who are jack money from the look at it, sir. Look at it, sir. Let me just conclude. Now, look at it.
Sorry.
Now, our youth, most of our youth, the power lies in their hands.
Yes. But they are very quick to sell the power.
No. You need to be voted for. Yes. You need to be voted for.
Why do they always want to sell their power?
Because they are deprived, they are poor.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
I know for a very long time we have always shifted the blame.
Yeah.
We have always shifted the blame. And you keep hearing every now and then on here, this one talk about this, talk about that. We have always shifted the blame. It's not going to change anything. But what I believe we changed our kind of concept or belief is when we begin to take responsibility ourselves. We need to take responsibility.
That's right.
You know, talking about, you're not going to wait for the minister to change because it's never going to change. You can't wait for whoever that you can't change to change. So for you to change others, you need to change yourself. That's so important. And secondly, when we talk about leadership or the future, who are the future? We are the future. Our families are the future. Those that are around us, the immediate, are the future. Why don't we do everything possible to influence these individuals around us? Say I have like 10 persons around me today, and I'm able to influence them positively. And those 10 persons are able to influence 10. In 20, 30, 50 years down the lane, would have had a nation of credible individuals. So I believe that we need to start working on ourselves. Let's work within.
I agree with you absolutely. Bale, Joseph, you want to talk to our young people this morning, especially in the Niger Delta. I'm seeing a lot of restiveness, within the region, and a lot of discussions about resource control and agitations,
Yeah. Before, Aminu Kano said that until a son of a nobody becomes somebody without knowing anybody, then Nigeria will not know peace. So it's imperatively clear that today you see a lot of restiveness around the Niger Delta region because of one, injustice. You understand? And if we must talk about an egalitarian society, it must be a society that promotes justice, equity, and fairness. You cannot imagine that Bayelsa brings over 25% of the resources that has been shared in Nigeria, and they have just 8 local governments. Kano has 44 local governments, and Kano brings nothing at the end of the day to be shared in Abuja. So you can see why these people are being restive, even though they also agree to the fact that their leaders are also problem. When we talk about the leadership and this thing, but why we want to engage our youth is that they must understand that election is not an end; it is a means to an end. You understand? We must continuously ask our leaders to be accountable to us as a people. We must engage the process constructively, because one is just about, you see today we talked about youth being used. It's because, like I said, the rate of unemployment. And what is the causes of unemployment? When you have corruption in high places, that I want a society where my son doesn't need to know Eribo to work in EBS. If he's competent, because we lack incompetent people. When we talk about the leadership, how do we get the leaders we have today? They were at peak, like we just said just now, because of godfatherism. We also have political jobbers. We also have political entrepreneurs. So they believe that, should I put this incompetent person now so that he can also make resources for me? There's an agreement. That's why you see things are not longer functional. Things are not working. So for me, like I talked about savings and investment, our youth must begin to save. They must continue to begin to invest. Like, just imagine that in a week, each youth, no matter how poor they are, they buy card at about 400, 500, 600. Just imagine you're able to save 600 naira per week. Save it for 27 years. It is a long time, everybody will say, but times, just look 600 times 27 years and how much you will get. Then look at all your uncles and aunties, because if you add 27 years to any of, probably the national average for youth is between 18 to 35. So if you add 35 or 30 to 27 years, you talk about 57. How many of your 57 years old uncle, if you times the amount you get from 600 times 27 years, how many of your uncles have that amount in their account? Generally in their account. It is difficult. So that's why you see, you must save as a youth. You must look for something doing. Somebody was talking about tax clearance. Imagine a graduate wants to go into politics. The system is expensive and all that. Politics is not a job. If you have graduated, you look for a job. You work.
Yeah.
If you cannot get a job, you look for a little thing to do, even if it's selling, buying and selling. You understand? No matter how small. Because Mother Teresa said, do not despise little beginning, because there lies your strength.
Wow, you guys are great. Thank you so much for coming. We absolutely are out of time, or maybe some other time we'll see you guys again to talk with you. For our young people, ensure that you are part of the Youth Congress. Valley will be around again next week, and we'll try to sensitize you. Let's unite and let's begin to have a voice for our country. I'm talking to the youth now. Did I say we? I'm gradually getting out of that bracket. Well, thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Bali Joseph. Bali Joseph is the National Coordinator for Niger Delta Youth Council. Stanley David Odaro is an inspirational speaker, leadership coach. We're grateful, sir, for your time. Pastor Carl, the special one. I put you on the hot seat this morning. There's something I needed to get from you, but maybe next week.
Okay.
Maybe next week we'll engage you more. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, sir.